Hey everyone, and welcome. Get ready, because today we're doing a deep dive into something pretty wild. MRSA, those superbugs that just shrug off antibiotics. We're talking about how your gut might actually be able to fight back.
Yeah, and it's a big deal. Antibiotic resistance. We're talking about serious infections, especially when something like MRSA gets into your bloodstream.
Right, it can be life-threatening. And that's what caught our eye with this new research out of ACS Infectious Diseases. They found a potential link between our gut bacteria and fighting off those superbugs.
Yeah, the study really honed in on bloodstream infections from MRSA, by the way. That's methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, if you want the full name. They used mice to see how gut health affected how bad the infection got.
This is where it gets so interesting. They found when they gave mice antibiotics, it messed with the balance of bacteria. In their gut, scientists call that dysbiosis, and
Yeah.
those mice got hit way harder by the
Oh,
MRSA.
yeah, much sicker.
Mm.
We're talking more bacteria in the blood, in their organs, worse lung damage, even abscesses in their kidneys, way worse than the mice with healthy guts.
Wow, so already that's a huge sign that gut health matters. But get this. They took those same sick mice with the messed up guts and gave them fecal transplants from healthy mice.
It's amazing. You really wouldn't believe it. Those really sick mice, after the transplant, infections vastly improves. Just goes to show how important a healthy gut can be when it comes to fighting off infection.
Like hitting the reset button. So that got them thinking, what is it about a healthy gut that's giving them this almost superpower? And that's when they zeroed in on a molecule called spermidine.
Now, spermidine is interesting. It's naturally in our bodies, but get this. Our gut bacteria actually make it.
Wait, so we've got little spermidine factories in our gut. That's wild.
It is pretty wild. But what they found is that the mice with MRSA infections, their spermidine levels were way lower, both in their gut and their blood. And it was even worse in the mice that had their gut bacteria messed with by the antibiotics.
Okay, so less spermidine, worse infection.
Hmm.
That makes you wonder, could giving them more actually help?
$1 million question, right? Well, to test it, they gave some mice spermidine in their water and then infected them with MRSA. And the results were amazing.
Oh, I'm on the edge of my seat. Tell me everything.
The mice who got the spermidine, way higher survival rate. Not only that, they had less bacteria in their blood and organs, less organ damage, and fewer signs of inflammation.
So the spermidine was like giving their immune system a boost to fight off the MRSA, but how's it doing that? What's going on at the cellular level?
Well, it seems like the spermidine is giving a boost to the first responders of your immune system, the white blood cells called macrophages. They're essential for fighting off any infection.
Oh, right, macrophages. They kind of gobble up all the bad stuff, right?
Yeah, got it. And it seems like the spermidine is making them even better at their job.
So it's like giving our macrophage warriors super armor to fight off the MRSA invaders. I love it, but how does it do that?
Well, it seems to help shift the balance of macrophages towards a type called M2 macrophages. These are really good at keeping inflammation under control and helping the body heal.
So it's not just about destroying the MRSA, it's about making sure the body doesn't overreact, right?
Exactly. Inflammation is important, but too much of it can cause more harm than good.
So these M2 macrophages are like the peacekeepers, right? Making sure the immune system fights back strong, but not too strong?
Precisely. They keep that inflammatory response in check so it doesn't spiral out of control.
So just to sum up here, our gut bacteria produce this spermidine, which seems to increase these M2 macrophages, those peacekeepers, and they're super effective at fighting off the MRSA and making sure things don't get out of control.
And that's why this research is so exciting. It's not just about finding something new to fight MRSA with, which is huge on its own, but it's about understanding the connection between our gut health, our immune system, and how we fight off infections in the first place.
Well, like we're only just starting to understand what our gut can do.
Yeah, we're just scratching the surface when it comes to the gut microbiome. But there's another really important part of this study. They actually dug deeper into how this spermidine, how it actually works, at a molecular level.
Okay, so let's get into it. What'd they find?
So it all comes down to this protein. It's called PTPN2. Basically, it helps your cells respond to different signals, especially the ones that control inflammation.
PTPN2. Okay, that sounds kind of complicated. What's so special about this protein?
You kind of think of PTPN2 like a switchboard operator inside your cells directing all the messages, telling the cell what to do.
Okay, I think I get that. So where does the spermidine come in? Like, is it sending a message to the switchboard?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The research found that spermidine actually makes PTPN2 more active, especially in those M2 macrophages, remember, the peacekeepers.
Right, right. So spermidine flips a switch on the PTPN2 switchboard, and that tells those M2 macrophages to go into super effective infection-fighting mode.
Exactly. And they wanted to be sure this PTPN2 was really key, so they blocked it.
Yeah.
Basically like putting a stop sign right in front of that switchboard.
And what happened? Did the spermidine just stop working?
Yep, exactly. They blocked PTPN2. The spermidine wasn't nearly as good at helping the macrophages fight off the MRSA.
Oh, so it's like this whole chain reaction. Gut bacteria makes spermidine. Spermidine activates this PTPN2 protein. That protein tells the M2 macrophages, those special cells, to become MRSA fighting machines, like a whole microscopic army.
Yeah, you've got it. That's what's so cool about this research we're seeing, this intricate dance between our gut, our immune system, right down to the individual molecules involved.
Now, you mentioned there was even more to this research. What about this whole arginine metabolism thing I saw in the study? I have to admit, that one kind of lost me.
Arginine metabolism, yeah, this sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty important here. So arginine, it's a building block for protein. Our bodies use it for all kinds of stuff, including immune function.
Okay, that makes sense. So how does MRSA fit into all of this?
Well, they found that MRSA infection, it actually changes some of the metabolic pathways that have to do with arginine,
Mm-hmm.
especially the ones that produce, you guess it's spermidine.
So MRSA might actually be messing with our ability to make spermidine. That's pretty sneaky.
It is, and that's where those lower spermidine levels we talked about, that's where it comes in. It's like a double whammy. MRSA weakens the gut's defenses, and then it messes with our ability to make spermidine, so our natural defenses are down.
Wow, so MRSA is cutting off our supplies. That's wild. But if that's the case, that makes boosting spermidine even more important, right?
It's definitely something to look at, yeah. And it's not even just about the spermidine itself. This whole arginine metabolism connection could be a whole new way to understand how we fight MRSA, maybe even other infections too.
So instead of always trying to kill the bacteria, we could be helping our bodies fight back naturally, right? Making it harder for these superbugs to even get a foothold. That's incredible.
Exactly. It's a whole new way of thinking about treating infections. Not combat, but collaboration. And the best part, working with your body's defenses could mean fewer side effects than with traditional antibiotics, which, let's face it, they can really mess with the balance of your gut bacteria.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder, but for our health. So this research on the gut microbiome, they also looked at how MRSA infection actually changes what types of bacteria are living in the gut, right?
They did. Remember we were talking about those mice who got the fecal transplants? Well, in this part of the study, they use this technique. It's called 16S rRNA sequencing. It's how they analyzed how exactly the gut bacteria changed after a MRSA infection.
Okay, I gotta be honest, that 16S RNA thing, that's a mouthful. Can you break it down for me?
Sure, it's basically a way to identify and count all the different types of bacteria in a sample, like taking a census of all the microbes living in your gut.
So they did a before census and an after census of the gut to see how MRSA changed things.
You got it. And one of the most interesting things they found was that MRSA infection actually caused a decrease in a type of bacteria called firmicutes.
Firmicutes. Okay, tell me more about these firmicutes. Should I be worried if mine are decreasing?
Well, firmicutes, they're one of the most common and most important types of bacteria in a healthy human gut. They help us digest food, they produce vitamins, all kinds of things.
So if those firmicutes decrease, that could be bad news for our gut.
It could be, yeah. It's like the defenses are down, and it's easier for bad bacteria like MRSA to move in. And remember, when those really sick mice got the fecal transplants from the healthy mice, their infections got so much better. That just adds to the evidence that having that healthy balance of bacteria, including the firmicutes, it's probably really important for fighting off MRSA.
It's amazing, isn't it? The gut microbiome, the immune system, these specific molecules, the spermidine, the proteins like PTPN2, they're all working together to keep our bodies in balance. It really makes you think, right, this whole world living inside of us, working to keep us healthy. But this research, it could actually change how we treat infections, especially those superbugs, the ones that laugh at our antibiotics, like MRSA.
Yeah, this is new territory for sure. It's not about making stronger antibiotics anymore. It's about working with our bodies, using our natural defenses.
So instead of just trying to hold them off, we could be giving our bodies the tools to go after them, strengthening ourselves from the inside out.
That's the idea. I mean, we've known for a while that the gut microbiome is important for the immune system, but now we're seeing how we might actually be able to use it to develop new treatments.
And this could be huge, not just for MRSA, but for all kinds of infections, right?
Absolutely. What if we could figure out how to, I don't know, encourage the gut microbiome to produce more spermidine or other helpful molecules, we could be talking about new treatments for so many diseases.
So it's like we could work with our microbiome instead of just trying to blast it with antibiotics, good and bad bacteria. It's all getting wiped out.
Right. Instead of fighting, we could be collaborating. And the best part is this approach, working with your body, it could mean way fewer side effects than we see with antibiotics, which, let's be honest, can really mess up your gut.
Work smarter, not harder, but for our health. Okay, so what's next for this research? What are the big questions scientists need to figure out?
Well, obviously, the big one is, does this hold true in humans? Just because it works in mice doesn't mean it'll be the same for us.
Right, of course. Can't get ahead of ourselves, but it's exciting stuff.
Oh, it definitely is. We also need to figure out the right dose of spermidine to actually make a difference and make sure there aren't any long-term risks to taking it as a supplement.
So more research is needed for sure, but this could really change how we approach infections in the future. Really makes you appreciate all those little helpers we've got living in our gut.
It really does. Who knew something so small could be so important?
It's like those tiny houses, but for our health. So if spermidine can help us fight off superbugs, what else is hiding in our gut just waiting to be discovered? That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.